Welcome to the family meeting. We are glad that you're here with us. I'm so excited to say that this week has not been crazy busy.
Yeah.
It's just been like normal, an average week. We got through graduating our third daughter. We got through her graduation party.
Mother's Day activities.
Mother's Day. Yeah, big event at church. And this week has just been like normal with kind of regular work.
Yeah.
And it's been kind of nice. I think I'm recovering a little from everything. How about
No
you?
big paint jobs.
No big paint jobs. This is the week of small paint jobs. It's like little one, 2 or 3 a day, but they're all real small. But that's great. It's
Yesterday
going well.
was 2 jobs that were mostly ceilings.
Yes.
So it was a lot of this.
Well, you
doing
only you only did ceilings.
I only painted
Yeah,
ceilings, yes.
that was all he did all day.
I'm feeling it.
Is your neck all right?
I'm feeling it.
You a little tight, little tense?
tight, but yeah, so if I'm like this the whole time, you'll know what's going on.
Your traps look huge.
Yeah, that's all from painting. So if you want traps like these, that's the exercise plan, but
I do not.
it's been nice not to be super crazy, like just the normal busy of life. Went to the beach 3 times this week, even for just a little while.
Right, yeah, just for little pop-ins.
Got to go to the pool a couple times.
Okay, so this is the good thing about adding people into your family. Sometimes they come with perks.
Yeah.
And so Catherine and Corey, Catherine's our oldest daughter, for those of you who don't know. She's getting married to Corey in August.
Yep.
And so he moved out of his parents' house, got an apartment. This will be the apartment that they will live in eventually.
Yeah.
After they get married. And there's a really nice pool.
Yep.
In the apartment
It was
complex.
great.
It's a brand new complex. Like, it was just finished a couple of months ago, really. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, it's new. And the pool is fantastic. So we got to go there twice this week with the family. Once for 1 hour, once for 2 hours. So it's like, it doesn't have to be this whole day thing. It can be a quick pop in and you can get that refreshment, relaxation, the sun.
Yeah.
And it's been great.
Because we had church Sunday, we had some people over for lunch Sunday, and then after that, we went to the pool for a couple hours, just kind of relaxed, chilled out. It was great.
We told the girls, we're like, we are going to make time to just be as a family.
Yep.
Played volleyball in the pool.
Yeah.
They all were trying to splash me. It was not very nice, but anyway, so it's been a good week. I hope you guys had a great week. Our discussion for today is definitely an interesting one. It's relevant. And we really want to be relevant, and we want to help you with the things that you are facing now. So this is an episode about parenting, and we are talking about, what do you do if your child comes to you and says, I don't know if I'm the right gender. I'm questioning my identity as a girl or as a boy.
Yeah.
How do you handle that? What do you say? This is not really an issue that I think most generations have faced.
Yeah.
I would say it's pretty new to our generation, or even the parents who are after us.
Yep.
It was not really an issue when our kids were little.
No, not
Pretty
at all.
much at all. And it's amazing because our youngest is 15. So there's been a huge shift in our culture in a very short amount of time. And so what are you guys going to do? Like, what happens when your child comes to you with this? And I will say this could still become an issue for us. Like, just because your kids aren't small anymore, they may have this kind of identity crisis as young adults or older adults. So how can we help them? And that's what we're going to talk about today.
And so what we want to do is we want to continue the conversation with you in the comments. And so if you've gone through this, we'd love to hear about how you handled it, what went well, what didn't go well, and what your experiences can be a great help to everybody else who finds and watches this video. So we're looking forward to that conversation. All right, you ready? You feel like jumping in? You ready?
Let's do this.
All right, gather round, everybody. It's time for a family meeting. The family meeting is a show that's all about family relationships. We're the Osterkamps. I'm Thomas, and this is my wife, Lysandra.
Hello, and welcome to our family.
I don't know what that salute finger thing was. Did you just accidentally do like
I did this.
gang sign or something like that?
Is this a gang sign?
I don't know, but I wouldn't just like flash your fingers around.
I did this
on the camera.
I think
is that
that's
west
just like
side?
being cool.
No, is that like west side?
No, west side would be this.
I don't. Stop doing stuff.
Okay, I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah, stop. Just hey, we know this one.
Wait, I'm safe.
Yeah.
That's peace.
Yeah.
Peace. Okay. All right. Hello and welcome to our family. Welcome to episode 295 of the Family Meeting Podcast. We are so glad that you are with us today. Today's episode is going to be one that is very relevant and controversial in our culture today. So we're glad that you're with us, and we hope it's going to be helpful to you, because today we're going to discuss how to help your child if they question their gender. We want to use a biblical and compassionate parenting approach. And for many parents, this topic can feel very confusing, especially if your child is coming to you with this. You can become blindsided. Maybe it came out of nowhere and you don't know what to say. You don't know how to respond. Maybe it's something you kind of saw coming, or maybe nothing like this has ever happened for you. But we want to have the discussion now in case it does. We want to have the discussion so that you can help other parents who maybe are going to be going through this. It can feel confusing, emotional, and overwhelming for parents when this happens. So we want to help you to respond both with truth and compassion, all right? But knowing how to navigate this conversation wisely is difficult. It's challenging. It's new in the generation that we have right now. And so we want to help you with that. We want to talk about it. Even though this is maybe a more sensitive topic to many people, it's one that we need to be talking about.
Before we jump into this very important conversation, though, we want to encourage you to help us. We need your help.
All right.
So we have our brand new book, Discipline That Works. Go on over to Amazon.com or open up your Amazon app on your phone, type in Discipline That Works and Osterkamp after it. That'll be the easiest way to find it. But here's how you can help us. I know many of you have purchased a copy of the book. We need you to go and leave a review.
Yes.
The more reviews we get, the more people will be able to help with it. The goal is to get at least 100 reviews. That will bump us way up in the searches so that more and more people can find us. Hey, we know, and we're going to be talking about it today with the important topic that we're talking about, raising kids is difficult.
Yeah.
And this book will help a lot of parents be able to do it to the best of their ability. And I think about how when we first brought Catherine home from the hospital, I'm like, I have no idea what I'm doing here. I can't believe they're letting me walk out with another human being. What am I going to do? I wish I would have had this thoughtful and practical of a book.
Yeah.
Now, it's very thoughtful and practical because we made a lot of mistakes.
Right.
So
we show you what not to do.
If we had this book, we wouldn't be able to write the book, but we wouldn't need to write the book. So
this is very confusing. It's like a time machine movie.
It's a catch-22. But we did make the mistakes. We did, and so we were able to share some of those things with you. 5 C's to Discipline. I think it'll be a help to you. And if you found it helpful, go leave a review so that you can help somebody else with it as well.
I love it.
So we are talking about gender identity today, how to have this conversation with your kids. And listen, we understand that there are going to be people who don't agree with our perspective and our point of view, and that's okay.
Yes, it is.
For those of you who are new to the podcast, Lysandra and I are followers of Jesus. We are not ashamed of that. Mm-hmm. We lead Beachside Community Church together in Palm Coast, Florida. And so we do come at this conversation from a Christian perspective. And we're going to get more into the biblical background and the biblical truths that we believe you should be sharing with your kids. But I want to share this one as we jump off into the conversation. In Genesis, going all the way back, God said he created them male and female. And when he was done creating, he said, behold, it's very good.
Right.
What I've created is very good. And so God has created each of us very intentionally, very uniquely, and that is such a powerful and a beautiful thing. And so that is going to filter the conversation that we're going to have today. And our goal is not to answer all the questions for you. Our goal is to help you and help facilitate a conversation, equip you to have this conversation with your kids. And so I just want to kind of give those of you who are brand new to the podcast, or maybe you just saw the title, on the thumbnail, which gender, and you're like, what is this talking about? Mm-hmm. We want you to know the perspective of who you're listening to right now.
Right, absolutely. And we love those who disagree with us. We can disagree and still be friends, right? But we do want to share the truth of the Bible. We want to share the truth that we believe. What do you do? What do you do when your child begins questioning their gender?
And it's a good question. I was having this conversation with a parent not long ago, and we were just talking about this topic and a wide variety of other topics, sexual identity and all that kind of stuff. And one of the things that I was thinking about is how some of the problem that our kids have with gender confusion is caused by us. And I just mean us as a culture.
Okay.
Sometimes in our own families and everything else. But and some of you are like, well, how so? Well, we've made certain things associated with genders that aren't necessarily associated with genders.
Shouldn't be, you mean? Shouldn't necessarily be.
Right, that they're not, they really don't have anything to do with gender.
They're not inherently boy or inherently girl.
Right. So whether that's things like colors or certain activities, certain likes, certain dislikes, and whatever. So let me ask you this question. If I say the color pink, what gender do you associate that with in your mind?
I associate it with a girl, and I mean, you look at all the gender reveal parties and everything. If the powder bomb is pink,
yes,
they're having a girl, and everybody knows it.
I will say on a side note, I really like the gender reveal parties that don't go as planned.
Yeah, why is that so funny? It's like it's like a bad moment for these people, and we're laughing at it, but it is really funny. Usually, I think too, they look back at it and probably laugh.
Did you see the one where they were gonna cut the cake? Husband and wife, they're gonna cut the cake.
Oh, I know what you're gonna say.
She pulls the little decoration thing out,
yes.
and he can see the color on the toothpick,
yes.
and he is seething.
Their faces are, and she's like,
all of a
"What
sudden,
have I done?"
She realized she spoiled it.
Yeah, it was really funny.
And then there's the ones with like the balloons.
Yeah.
Where the balloon flies away and they don't have any idea what color it's going to be.
They still don't know. Yeah. There's a lot of really funny ones.
Okay, so what if I say blue?
I think of a boy.
All right, so, and that's just one instance where we've associated colors with, a certain gender. Mm-hmm. But the fascinating thing is, colors and gender is a relatively new phenomenon.
Okay.
In the early 1900s. Have you heard this?
I think I know what you're going to say, and I think it was on a baby shower quiz one time that I was at a baby shower.
So in the early 1900s, pink was associated with a certain gender, but it wasn't female.
Right. I have heard this.
It was associated with male. It was considered a stronger, more decisive color related to red because they are in the same family. I know you think pink and red kind of clash together, but they are in the same color family. Any rebuttal to that? You're looking at me like you disagree.
Hey, pink and red are just fine at Valentine's Day, but other than that, it's not my jam.
Yeah. So, but because it was considered a stronger, more decisive color, it was deemed suitable for males.
Okay.
So in the early 1900s, 1910, 1920, pink was a boy's color.
Yeah. Which, this is what's so funny about that is it says that pink is a stronger, more decisive color. But the truth is there's a very soft version of pink and a very strong version of pink. There's also really soft colors of blue and very strong colors of blue. And the other thing that I don't really care for is I don't like that it basically says it's implying that girls are soft and men are strong.
Yeah.
Girls can be strong too. We have 4 daughters. We're trying to raise them to be strong, independent women who, of course, follow the Lord.
Yes, but this was over 100 years ago.
Yeah.
So men were kind of seen, and this is one of those gender stereotypes, right?
Yeah.
And men are physically, overall, men are physically more strong.
Yes, which is why we have different competitions for men than women.
Yes, but this is not that.
It is not that. This is not that episode.
So, but blue was seen as softer and daintier, making it the preferred color for girls.
Okay. Here's what I think about.
Yeah.
In 1920, 1930, when the shift was happening from pink being a boy color to pink being a girl color, do you think that there was all this controversy over, like, why is that boy wearing blue and not pink? Or, like, why is that girl wearing pink and not blue?
Yeah.
You know, it just, because there's always controversy, right?
Yeah. So
culture is always shifting.
For some 20, 30, 40 years, that was the colors. And then it shifted in the 1940s.
Okay, the 40s.
And so manufacturers and department stores started standardizing the color branding and flipped the roles. And so you talk about like gender confusion, and it was like things going on. And so by the end of World War II, what we know now was kind of firmly in place. But, you know, colors aren't necessarily really have anything to do with the gender. Like, it's just a color.
Yeah.
Look
at your shirt.
Yeah, exactly. My shirt is kind of a light purple color.
I would call that mauve.
I like, yeah, you probably would. But
I would call it
yeah.
mauve. If you are looking, or if you're watching on YouTube, you can see his color.
But if you're just a dude, it's like a light purple shirt. I like purple. I like wearing pink. I also like wearing black and, you know, gray and stuff like that.
You like wearing blue?
So,
mm-hmm.
But it's funny to me how like to one side or another people take this kind of stuff, because like we have known people where I can think of one father in particular, but there's been more than one where it was like he did not want his son to literally touch anything pink.
Right. Yeah. Or a doll or a Barbie, like you do not touch it.
Yeah.
You don't touch a purse, you know.
Yeah. And I always thought that was funny when it was like, you don't want your son to like play with like baby dolls or whatever. And I'm like, what are you afraid they're going to be a good father? Like, what are you actually afraid of that's going to happen here? Like, so
they might have kids one day and take care of them.
Yeah. But it's even when it comes to like chores and stuff, like we've had this idea in the past that certain chores, maybe taking care of the house, was associated with the female gender, and doing things in the yard and fixing cars and all that was kind of like a male gender thing. Mm-hmm. So we do have all these things that we have said have to do with gender, and in reality they don't. So here's what happens, and this is what I'm getting back around to the conversation about. We have caused some of the gender confusion. You have a boy who does like pink. It's a nice color. And they like pink, and they keep hearing, you know, that's a girl color. Only girls like pink. Well, I like pink. Does that mean that maybe I'm a girl inside?
Right.
Or you've got a girl that really loves playing with trucks and cars and wants to, you know, be a mechanic and whatever else. And it's like, well, no, that's for boys. Well, I'd like that. Does that mean I'm really should have been a boy inside? Mm-hmm. And so some of this, I think we have brought upon ourselves because we have created an unnecessary confusion. Now, I do believe in some cases that the confusion has been done on purpose, but this is not the conversation for that. We're trying to help you how to have the conversation with your kids.
I think back to when I was a little girl. I had a little friend. His name was Sean, and we would play together. And my favorite times was playing with Sean, because whenever we would play together, we would play in the church nursery, and we would grab the baby dolls, and we would play house. Yeah. And he was the dad, and I was the mom, and we would take care of our babies and feed them and everything. And I remember his older brother, who was playing with my older brother, would come past the church nursery and make fun of him for playing dolls. And I remember being like, oh, I hope he doesn't stop playing dolls with me, because I had such a good time, you know?
Yeah.
And it was like there was nothing off about him. You know, he was not inside a girl or anything. He wanted to play family, and he was playing with his friend, you know? And so often I think we take these things and we build this case for something that isn't even there.
Yeah. Well, and many of you have been to one of our marriage events across the country. And whenever we go to a church or a ministry or an organization for the first time, and we're going to have a marriage event, we always play this game with everybody who's there to kind of introduce ourselves. And we called it 1 or 2, and Lysandra's always number 1 because she is number 1.
Thanks,
and
babe.
I'm number 2. And then we list off some certain things. And we won't go into the game because maybe you're going to, won't spoil it for those of you who are going to be showing up to some events for the first time.
They are very stereotypical husband versus wife things.
Yes.
Things that you would typically think of a husband, things that you would typically think of a wife.
Yeah. And then we say one, and we say, all right, guess who that belongs to. Who does that refer to?
Yeah.
And some of them are exactly what you think they are, and some of them couldn't be further away from that. But the point of all that is, like, we're all very unique. We all like different interests, and not everybody just falls along what we have stereotyped as certain male or female husband-wife things, and that's okay.
Absolutely.
So we all like a wide variety of colors and things and interests. So let me ask you this: like, when you were younger, were there certain things that you really liked to do or just really enjoyed that would have been considered like boy stuff?
Absolutely. Yeah. I loved to get dirty. I loved to play in the mud. I loved to be outside. I would climb trees in bare feet, and I would be all scratched up and bruised. As I got a little bit older, I liked to build things. I liked tools. I especially liked power tools as I got older. I also, like, at a young age, we were demolishing a house next door with literally crowbars and hammers and lifting and carrying things. So, like, I was doing a lot of boy things. Now, I was a girly girl. Saying all of that. I was still a girly girl. I loved the dresses. I loved bows. Yep. I always had my toenails and fingernails painted and all of that. But I liked both things, and my parents never made a big deal about any of that. My sister was considered a tomboy for a long time.
Yeah.
My sister actually played a season on a boys' football team in a public high school.
Yeah.
And that was a pretty big deal.
And now she's a beautician. Like,
she
does everybody's hair and nails, and she's fantastic. But
she is. But yeah, and it was just like in our family, it was just like, you know, you do what you're good at, you follow your interests, enjoy life, whatever.
And then I was, in a lot of ways, stereotypical boy where I'd love to be outside, love to play G.I. Joes and stuff with my brother, you know, Hot Wheels, all the stuff. Mm-hmm. We'd go outside, we'd have rock fights and all the sports and all the stuff. But I remember as a young child, you know, playing dolls with my sister. I remember wearing a dress, playing dress up with my sister.
I do not. I've never seen a picture of this, nor have you told me about that.
I don't know. Just the conversation kind of reminded me of it, but I don't know that there are any pictures of that. Yeah. Now that would be maybe some photos I would hope would never see the light of day. But
oh my gosh, little tiny Thomas in a dress would be so cute.
It's like that episode of Friends where all of a sudden Ross realizes like he dressed up as and played Aunt B and
I
had
am
a
B.
song.
I like T.
Yeah. Won't you dance around me?
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, it was just like I was playing with my sister, and that's what we played. I never, you know, because of that, I never thought one way or another about who I was. It was just what we were doing. We just played, and it wasn't a big deal.
Yeah, right. You never questioned your gender, and neither did I. But it wasn't a thing.
Yeah.
That wasn't ever a thing. But today we want to discuss how you parents can support, guide, and love your child while still remaining grounded in biblical convictions and healthy communication. How can you respond calmly instead of react emotionally? And this is the thing that we really want to help you with today, is if this thing is brought to you by your child, and this thing in your mind is this horrible, terrible thing. They're questioning their gender, and all the alarm bells and whistles and everything goes off, and its red lights are flashing in your mind, and you get really emotional. You don't want to react that way. You don't want to just have this crazy reaction. How can you respond calmly? How can you communicate love for your child while still remaining grounded in truth?
Yeah.
That's what we want to help you with today.
And so we want to just start off the conversation by giving some practical ways to respond calmly in the moment. And the first thing that you want to do is just slow the conversation down.
Mm-hmm, that's good.
And part of that is preparing yourself ahead of time as much as possible. So some of these things do hit you out of nowhere, but I think it's good to have some conversations and with your spouse, or to think through these even on your own. Like, what's the worst thing my child could come up and tell me?
Mm-hmm. And that's going to be different for everybody.
Yes.
You know, it might be for some parents, the worst thing your kid could say is, you know, I want a blue collar job.
Yeah.
I don't want to go to college. I want to work at McDonald's. And for some parents, that's their nightmare.
Yes.
You know, there's so many different things it could be for each parent.
But we have 4 daughters. For those of you that are new to the podcast, we have 4 daughters, and you can see them on the podcast art for the show, wherever you get your podcasts. But the statistics of one of our daughters, you know, choosing to do something or a lifestyle that we don't necessarily agree with is pretty high. Mm-hmm. And so Lysandra and I have had these different conversations. We've talked about, you know, what do we do if one of our daughters comes up and says, hey, I'm pregnant, and she's not married?
Because, I mean, especially growing up in the church culture that we were raised in, that was like the worst thing your kid could do.
Yeah.
Which, you know, I mean, we don't believe that that's right, but at the same time, it's not like you need to disown your kid over that, right? But that was kind of what it was growing up. But
it's like, okay, what would we do? What would we say? How would we respond? Now, obviously, you don't know until you're actually in the moment, but we kind of role played through it. Let's talk about it. What if one of our daughters comes up and says, I'm gay? Like, what are we going to do? What if they come up and tell us X, Y, or Z? What's the worst thing? So
they are an atheist. They do not want to, you know, follow God. They don't believe the Bible. Those would be some very devastating things for us as followers of Jesus to hear from our children.
Yeah. And so, but the gender conversation is not necessarily one we ever thought to have even. And it's just kind of like really come up and has bombarded our society. But we're talking about slowing the conversation down when your child comes and tells you something you're not necessarily ready to hear. And now we're talking specifically about, you know, gender confusion and identity today. So they come up and they tell you, Mom, Dad, I think I should have been a girl. Rather than panicking, okay, I've already thought through this. Now, it's going to be a little bit different having the real conversation, as I mentioned, but you want to slow the conversation down. And you need to understand that you don't need to immediately solve theology or things about identity, mental health, family dynamics in one discussion. Mm-hmm. That's not the goal here. And so having that understanding, all right, I've thought about this a little bit ahead of time. What's the worst thing they could ever say? I played through some of these scenarios. But I also understand I don't need to fix this immediately right now. And you're not going to be able to fix it in one discussion. Right. And so rather than like freak out about it, we sometimes get defensive and we panic, but you don't need to panic. Just calm down, slow down. You don't need to solve it right away. Mm-hmm.
All right, and then as you kind of try to slow down, you need to listen before you correct.
Yeah, that's good.
So instead of reacting to labels or conclusions or panicking, just slow down and start listening, okay? Don't just shut them down. Because I think about, like, when we hear that, our initial response is to say, no, you aren't. You're wrong. Don't say things like that. So you want to just correct that, but that's not going to help your child. They're not going to be able to, you know, actually understand it. They are not going to come to you in the future. So rather ask some questions. And I think this is super duper important when we are having hard discussions with our kids, whether it's about this topic or anything else. Ask some questions before you correct them. Can you help me understand what you've been feeling? When did this start?
Yeah.
What feels the hardest right now? Why are you feeling this way? Or maybe this would be even a better question is, why do you think you feel this way? Because a lot of times they don't have an answer for that. But even in you asking the questions, they're going to be able to now start tracing where this is coming from. Because most likely they don't even know where it's coming from.
Yeah.
And as you ask the questions, it's going to help them to do some self-examination so that we can get to the root of this thing. So don't just jump right into correction and shutting them down. Let's ask some questions. Let's listen.
So when we were talking about this in kind of preparation for the episode, you mentioned that it wasn't just one conversation that you're having, that, hey, this is a journey you're starting with your child.
Exactly, because it's not like, okay, they ask the question, I tell them no. That's wrong. You were born a boy, you're a boy. Don't talk about it anymore. And it's like shutting it down. No, what you're doing is you're starting a journey with your child. When they come with this question and you respond, that's not the end of this. That's the beginning of the journey. And now you are going to walk with your child through this. You're not going to leave them alone. You want to be able to walk through it with them. And if you shut them down right away, they're going to cut you off.
Yeah.
They're no longer going to tell you how they feel. And then one day they're going to be so far down this road that there's no coming back from it. And so don't shut it down. What you need to do is look at this first initial conversation as the beginning of a journey, walking with your child hand in hand, helping them to understand truth.
Yeah. And I thought that was such a powerful illustration. I want to make sure the leaders could, or the listeners could kind of hear what you had already talked about before. I thought that was so great. And you're talking about gathering the information here, and that's the point of listening before correcting.
Right.
Like, you're not trying to solve anything. We are on this journey now, and we've got a destination that we want to get to. But if I don't really know where my child's at fully, we're never going to get there. I have to know where they are in order to help walk them through this process together.
Right. And another thing to consider is that the end of this journey may not be what you want.
Yeah.
You may not get the outcome that you want.
Yeah.
And so often we as parents, it's all about what I want. I just want my children to turn out the way I want them to turn out. And usually it's because it's a reflection on us.
Yeah.
And we are so prideful that we want our children to turn out right. We want to hear people say, wow, your kids are so great. And what if, if they continue down this road of, gender crisis, even into transitioning?
Yeah.
What are people going to say about me as a parent? How does that reflect on me? And this is the thing, is it's not about you. It's not about me. It's about your child and walking them through this, even if the journey doesn't end in the place you want it to.
Yeah. So we're slowing down the conversation. We're listening before correcting, as Lysandra mentioned, and then take some time to acknowledge their emotions. Mm-hmm. Like, they're coming to you, they're feeling a lot of different things. So we can acknowledge the emotions that they're feeling without affirming conclusions. Mm-hmm. So I can acknowledge the fact that my child is in distress.
Yes.
And I may not necessarily know what's caused that distress. We'll talk little bit more about that in a little bit here. But I can acknowledge that without affirming every belief attached to it.
Right.
So I can recognize that they're having a hard time without acknowledging, yeah, because of that, because you feel that way, because you like that, you're right, that does mean that you're a boy and should have been created a boy instead of a girl. Hmm. So acknowledging emotions is not the same as affirming something that's untrue.
Right. You're not affirming their conclusion to their emotion.
And so you can have conversations like, I can see this is very painful or confusing for you. I love you, and I'm glad you told me. And so you're also affirming your emotion for them.
Yeah.
Like, the information that you've told me doesn't change my love for you. Doesn't change
Absolutely.
how I feel about you. I'm glad you told me. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And what that does is that opens up the door to have continued conversation, to continue to walk through them down this journey.
Absolutely. And I think we can all agree that if your child is coming to you saying, I was born a girl, but I think I'm supposed to be a boy, whether or not you have a biblical worldview, whether or not you believe the Bible, whether or not you follow Jesus, I think we can all agree that that is a person who is in distress.
Yeah.
That is a person who believes in their own mind that they are trapped in the wrong body. That's terrifying.
Yeah.
Like, for all these people who are buying into this and who really truly believe that for themselves, that's a terrible position to be in. To believe that I have the wrong body for what I truly am inside. And so we can all agree, no matter what our perspective is, that these children are in distress. Mm-hmm. These children are confused, and this is a crisis for them. And it's real for them. And so we need to acknowledge that. It doesn't mean we agree with them, but it means that we acknowledge that you're having a hard time.
Yeah.
And I care about this. And this is the next thing, avoid panic language. I really like the term panic language.
Yeah.
Because I am an extremist.
Yeah. Well,
I'm not.
Elaborate quickly.
Yeah. Let me elaborate what that means. What I'm saying is like, I either love things or I hate things. Or I'm so excited or I'm devastated. Like I'm kind of an extremist in emotions and like the way that I talk. There's not a lot of gray area for me most of the time.
Yeah.
But we can use this panic language. And when our kids come to us with this, and we can say like, you're destroying your life. This is evil. And we can say things like that and panic so much that we shut down all communication. Now they're more afraid than they were in the first place, which I guarantee they're afraid. Now you're afraid. You're both scared. And you've shut down communication. So not only are they're trapped in their fear, but they also can't find help from the person who they believe is supposed to help them the most, their parent.
Yeah.
So avoid any language that sounds like panic.
Yeah.
Think about what you say before you say it. Calm down, slow down the conversation, listen, ask questions, gather the information.
Well, and this is something to keep in mind when you talk about this panic language that will shut down communication. If they can't talk to you and if they don't feel safe talking to you, they're going to go to talk to somebody else.
Yes, they will.
They're going to talk to their friends. They're going to talk to somebody else that may not have your child's best interest in heart. Mm-hmm. And so keep that in mind. And I think along these lines, you need to make sure that you keep your identity as a parent grounded. Mm-hmm. So what do you say, what do I mean by that? Your child's struggle is not a test you must instantly pass perfectly. So you probably haven't, your child comes up to you and says, Mom, Dad, I know I was born a boy, but I think that I should have been a girl. Those are probably words you've not heard before.
Probably not.
But one of the things we have to understand is like none of us, no matter what stage of parenting you're in a situation where you've never been there before, never parented that before. I mentioned, bringing Catherine home for the first time, and it's like, I have no idea what to do. As a parent, I had a brother who was 17 years younger than me, and I watched him a lot. I changed diapers, and I did all the stuff. I wasn't his dad.
That's right.
It's not the same thing as being solely responsible. And then started to figure out what it meant to parent one daughter. And what happens? The second one comes along. I've never parented 2 kids before. Mm-mm. I've never parented 3. Now I've never parented 4.
Mm-hmm. And each kid is unique. You've never parented that specific child before.
Yeah. And so as they grow, every step of the way, you're facing new things that you don't know, you've never done before. Mm-hmm. We have 3 daughters now who are adults, 18 and up. Mm-hmm. And I've never parented this situation before. This transition is totally new to us. We're very quickly, in a couple of years, moving into empty nest. And we're kind of like, have a daughter getting married. Never done that before. So here's the thing. In any of these situations, we've never passed it perfectly the first time.
Right. Well, and we're never gonna be perfect.
Exactly. And the same is true in this kind of conversation as well. Your child's struggle is not a test that you have to instantly pass perfectly. Staying steady matters more than delivering the perfect speech. Mm-hmm. Now, you've had a lot of practice giving speeches to our kids.
Mm-hmm. I have, because I'm the lecture queen.
Yeah.
That's right.
If anyone's going to give the perfect speech, it's going to be you. But
well, yeah, because delivering the perfect speech is not going to deliver your child.
Yeah, that's good. And you're right. That's good. See what I mean about perfect speeches?
Peace.
Yeah.
That's right. The perfect speech. Okay. listening and the relationship matter most during the difficult conversations.
Yeah.
So often we think that the thing that matters the most is how this reflects on me or what this is doing to me. And I think about what Thomas said. He said that other people who talk to your children about this don't have your child's best interest at heart. But what is so sad is there are times when we as parents do not have our child's best interest at heart. We have our own interest at heart.
Yeah.
It is our own pride, our own reputation, how this will reflect on me. That's what I care about. And that is not having your child's best interest at heart. This is not about you. This is about them. And if you ruin the relationship, then, now I will say this, maybe you have already in your mind ruined the relationship. Maybe your child's already come forward with this or something else, and you did use the panic language and you freaked out and you didn't listen and you didn't ask questions. You kind of messed up in your opinion. It's not that there's no way back, okay? You can get back from that. Apologize, own it, talk about what you did that was wrong without excuses, ask for forgiveness and say, I would like to be let back into your life. But I'm saying if you ruin the relationship, it is much more difficult for you to impact your child's future.
Yeah.
You have to a certain extent, you have burnt that bridge, okay? And you should be your child's lifeline through this.
Yeah.
It should be the relationship between mom and dad and me. And that's what is my lifeline getting through this hard thing. But what we do as parents is we make it about us and we take a stick of dynamite and we light it and we throw it on that bridge and we just demolish it. Because we're not understanding that the relationship is the most important thing. You can't have an impact on their future if you have no relationship.
Well, and you talk about like burning the bridge and all that. And some of that comes depending on what your religious background is as well. Like you were trained and taught that that's what you do. Like if your child comes to you and says, I'm gay, then basically you cut off all relationship with them and pretend like they're dead. Or if they come and say, hey, I'm pregnant and they're out of wedlock, you ship them off somewhere. And that's exactly the opposite of what we should be doing.
Right.
And they take verses out of context, like Matthew chapter number 18, where it talks about like treating them as a publican, as a heathen, as somebody outside the faith. And that goes against everything that Jesus was talking about. It goes against the main point of what he was trying to say is restoration is always the goal. And think about those who don't know Jesus as their Savior. If you're a follower of Jesus, what are you supposed to be doing to those who are outside the faith? You're supposed to be bringing them back into a right relationship with God, restoring that relationship through Jesus. Not treating them as though they're dead, not ignoring them, not cutting them off from your life.
Not hating them.
The goal is restoration. And so when you talked about don't burn the bridge, we do have a lot of people who listen to our podcast who are Christians, who are followers of Jesus from a wide variety of backgrounds. And some of your backgrounds have taught you incorrectly about this. And so I want to say this, like if your child comes to you and says, hey, I was born a girl, but I really think I should have been born a boy. That doesn't mean cut them off. It doesn't mean excommunicate them. Exactly the opposite should be done.
Yes. Keep the relationship strong. How? By loving them the whole way through. The whole way through the journey, express your love. Now, be truthful, but love them and don't make it about you. When your child comes to you and says something like, I think I'm supposed to be a boy, or I think I'm supposed to be a girl, don't say things like this. Oh, I'm such a bad mother. Where did I go wrong? Who is that making about? Then your child's like, no, mom, you're not a bad mom. You did a great job. And now your child is comforting you when this is their crisis, when this is something they're going through. Now, I understand, like, to a certain extent, it becomes our crisis because we love our children more than almost anything in the world. So it does affect us. I'm not saying it doesn't affect you. But it's not about you, it's about them.
Well, if you do say, I'm such a bad mom, where'd I go wrong? It opens up the opportunity for them to say, yeah, you sucked. Like,
yeah, and maybe that is what they'll say. I don't know. I think about this too. Like, another thing that you should not be saying is like, You're making it all about you. You're making it about your co-parent. Like, oh, I told your dad to play sports with you more. If your dad would have taken you fishing more, it's all his fault. Or I told your mom not to let you play with dolls, and now look where we are. And it's the focus is now on us and how we did as parents, which that's not what this is about.
Yeah.
This is about them feeling out of place in their own bodies. Like this is a terrible thing that they're going through, and it's about them. It's not about you.
So here are some truths to remind your child of as you walk with them hand in hand through this identity crisis. Remember, this is a journey you want to walk with your child through. So we're gonna go together, hand in hand. We're gonna make this journey together.
Yep.
And these reminders should be expressed in kind, loving ways as Jesus spoke with kindness as he helped others who came to him. I was just talking with the guys in our men's leadership group last night, and we were kind of looking at the different ways that Jesus spoke to certain people, like the woman at the well. For those of you who are unfamiliar with the situation there, Jesus goes and talks to this woman, the Samaritan woman, who, by the way, the Jews and the Samaritans hated each other, and yet Jesus goes and talks with her. She is a woman who's had 5 husbands.
So been divorced 5 times.
Been divorced, 5 times. Maybe 1 or 2 died. Chances of all 5 of them dying and him not pointing out that she's a black widow is pretty slim. So divorced 5 times. Living with somebody who's not her husband, which isn't right according to the biblical standard. And yet Jesus had a loving conversation with her. Did he speak the truth? Absolutely.
Yes.
He did. And he pointed out. And I love that he kind of called her out. We often do this, right? We leave out certain bits of information and make ourselves look better than we really are. And so she's like, I don't have a husband.
That's true.
And he's like, you're right. You've had 5 husbands and you're living with somebody who's not your husband. Like, he called her out on her crap.
Yeah.
On her sin. But he was kind and loving with her.
Yeah, he was.
The woman who was taken in adultery. The religious leaders brought a woman from the very act of adultery, set her in front of Jesus. Did Jesus confront her? Yeah, he called what she was involved in sin. Like, he said, you're breaking God's rules. This isn't right. God has commanded you not to do this. But what did he say? He said, go and sin no more. Like, he was compassionate with her. He actually defended her.
He saved her.
Against the crowds.
Right. This angry mob was ready to literally kill her, and Jesus prevented that from happening out of love for her and said, go and sin no more. Jesus said, you can have a fresh start. This is not the end for you.
Yeah. So this is the mentality that we should be walking our kids with. Like, you can speak the truth. They can know where you stand biblically, even if they don't necessarily agree with you. I think about a pastor talked to recently, and his adult daughter is a lesbian, and she knows where he stands. She knows biblically, what his thoughts and beliefs and all of that are, and yet he still loves her. Him and his wife love her dearly. They still get together with her, talk with her, go out to eat with her, do things together.
They are kind to her partner.
They're loving parents. But at the same time, they still acknowledge and speak what is true in a loving way. And you can do that.
You can. It is possible.
And so the thing that, we're talking about reminding our kids of some of these things, these truths, while you're walking through them. And one of the things we need to remind them of is that intense feelings do not automatically determine what is objectively true.
That's good.
So there are things that are objectively true. We find that standard in Scripture. I was just talking about this Sunday. We began a new series on spiritual warfare in Ephesians 6. The first thing that we talked about is the belt of truth and how there is absolute truth. There is right, there is wrong.
Amen.
And just because we have very strong feelings, well, I like this certain color, I like these certain activities, I feel like I should have been born a boy instead of a girl, and I have very strong feelings about that. Well, just because you have strong feelings about that doesn't make it necessarily correct.
Mm-hmm.
Personal experience should be interpreted through God's revelation rather than becoming the final authority. And our identity is ultimately rooted in being made by God, not self-defined internally.
Mm-hmm. And the other thing that we want to help our kids understand is that often people struggling with gender identity are going through some really difficult things emotionally. And so you want to help them identify some things that they may be going through.
Yeah.
Now, every case is different, and your child is unique. So you're going to need to help them to figure out what's at the heart of this. Where is this coming from? And trying to identify what are some of the other emotional issues that they're having. Like, it could be loneliness, and talk to your child about that. Like, oftentimes people who are having the same struggle that you're having feel very lonely, or they feel shame. Do you feel shame? Like, anxiety. Sometimes people who have this issue, they feel just different from others, and they feel like they just don't fit in anywhere. Or they have discomfort with their body, and they feel uncomfortable in their own body. Is this what you're feeling? Fear of rejection can be one. This is something that is often present. Desire for belonging, desperation for just belonging and acceptance and having a group that is your own. Desire for understanding between inner feelings and outward life. Yeah. And when these don't seem to mesh, it's confusing and it brings emotional turmoil. So not everybody has the same experience, but you want to try to help your child to figure out, where is this coming from? What's the root? How can we help my child through this?
Well, and don't make simplistic assumptions. Don't say, it's always rebellion. Mm-hmm. It's always trauma. It's purely social contagion. People's stories are so different. Mm-hmm. There's so many different factors that are happening here.
Yeah.
And so we're not just going to automatically assume that it's this and just this, and that's the only reason that they're struggling with this, or the only reason they're saying this is because of this. Like, there's so many things.
Right. And the right response is neither harsh condemnation nor uncritical affirmation of every feeling, but instead it's compassionate truth telling. Recognize your child's suffering as real and treat them with dignity as made in God's image, and encourage identity to be grounded in Christ rather than subjective feelings alone.
So, as followers of Jesus, we want to use Scripture as the basis for what we teach our children and the why behind everything that you believe as a follower of Jesus. But I want to say this, and I want you to hear me say this. Don't weaponize Scripture. Mm. It's not meant to be used to get your way. Mm-mm. It's truth to stand on. So the first thing that you can help your child to see is human identity begins with being created by God. So I mentioned this right at the start of this conversation because I wanted to make sure that it was the basis of what we were talking about, and should be the basis for what you're going to remind your child of. Genesis 1:27. So God created man in his own image, male and female, he created them. And this is one of the things that people want to do. They want to take the very small, minute outliers and use that to create an argument. And base everything, every standard should be based on that. And so they'll say things like, well, what about the people who are born with both sex organs? Male and female.
Yeah.
Which happens. It's super rare. Almost everybody in their DNA is biologically born male or female. Almost everybody. There are small outliers. And I think those small outliers have to do with sin entering into the world. And we're not going to get into a big theological debate about all of that. But for the most part, those outliers aren't going to be your issue. Or your child's issue. But human beings have inherent dignity because they bear God's image. Your children need to know God created them very specifically the gender that they are. And biological sex is a part of God's intentional creation, not an accident. God did not make an accident when he gave me 4 daughters. He didn't do it. God did not make an accident when he created me as a male. He had a purpose behind it. There was intentionality there.
Right. The other thing to help your child understand from Scripture is that the body has meaning and is not separated from ourselves.
Yeah.
Okay? And you think about this. We are more than one thing. We are body, mind, and soul. And all of that is interconnected. It is not divided. And that is one thing that culture is trying to tell our children, is that your real self is not completely attached to your body.
Yeah.
They're two different things, and you can change what you want. But that isn't true, because we are formed in God's image, and God is Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. And we are body, mind, and soul. We are made in his image, and it's connected. And I think about Psalm 139:13 that says this: "For you," speaking to God, "for you formed my inward parts. You knitted me together in my mother's womb." And you think about what it takes to knit. Like, you have to pay attention to each movement. You pay attention to everything you do, all the details that go into creating something like that. And that's the imagery that is used here to describe how God created your child. Help them to understand that he created you and you are knit together. I think of the next verse 14 is, "I am fearfully and wonderfully made." Your real self is not completely separated from your physical body. They are attached. Body, mind, and soul are all connected. The body is part of God's good creation, and God created your child. Help them to see this. Help them to understand this and walk with them through it.
Third thing is, feelings are real but not always authoritative. The Bible treats emotions seriously. I mean, God created us as emotional beings. We all have emotions. Emotions are not wrong. Now, what we do with those emotions can be a different story, but here's the other thing. The Scripture does repeatedly warn us that inner desires and perceptions can be disordered. Think about Jeremiah 17:9. It says this: "The heart is deceitful above all things and desperately sick. Who can understand it?" And we just talked about this recently, did a whole episode on, is it okay to teach your kids to follow their heart? Should they do that? And you can take some time and go back. It might be a good companion to what we're talking about here, just to kind of lay the groundwork. But Jeremiah warns us, like, you can't always trust your heart. Your emotions aren't always telling you the right thing to do. Proverbs says it this way, and there's 2 verses in Proverbs that say literally the same exact thing. We'll share this one from Proverbs 14:12. "There is a way that seems right to a man, but its end is the way to death." It's like, "But Mom, I feel like, but Dad, I feel like, and I feel strongly about this,
right,
that this is the right thing for me." Well, just because we feel it doesn't mean that it's true. Sincere feelings can still conflict with truth, and identity should ultimately be grounded in God rather than internal perception alone.
Help your child to understand that humanity experiences deep inner brokenness since the fall. And if you look back into Genesis, which is the beginning of creation, the beginning of mankind, you can see that sin is described as entering the world. And as it entered the world, it affected every dimension of life: body, mind, spirit, relationships. It affects desires. It affects creation itself.
Yeah.
And you think about it, before the fall, when Adam and Eve were in the garden, they had to work. That was part of the plan. The part of God's design was for them to work. And they did. They took care of the garden. They took care of animals. But there was no sweat. Work wasn't hard.
Yeah.
There were no thorns. These things happened after they disobeyed God and ate from the tree that he said, "Do not eat from." When they disobeyed God, sin entered the world, and that is what we describe as the fall of mankind. And from there, work became hard. Thorns became in existence. Childbirth became difficult. All of these different things. And all forms of inner conflict, including struggles involving identity, sexuality, anxiety, or alienation from one's body, ultimately comes from human fallenness, from that fall that happened, from sin entering into the world.
And this list could go on and on about biblical things that you should be sharing with your children. We'll leave you with this kind of last one here before we share some practical things for you. Christians are called to find ultimate identity in Christ.
Yes, we are.
One of the strongest New Testament themes is that identity is not ultimately rooted in feelings, social status, achievements, ethnicity, or personal desires, but in relationship with Christ. And we often have this backwards. We live in such a culture today that we all just want to claim our own identity, and we want everyone to affirm and agree with whatever identity I create with, whether that's sexual orientation, whether that's gender identity, whether that is like my race, achievement, status, power, money, position, you fill in the blank. We want people, that's how they should look at us, and that's how we should filter our life. But as a follower of Jesus, it's to be something totally different for us. It is, I'm identified as a follower of Jesus. My identity is found in Christ, and everything else filters through that. 2 Corinthians 5:17, Paul says, if anyone is in Christ, he is a new creation. He says in Colossians 3:3, for you have died and your life is hidden with Christ in God. That as a follower of Jesus, it's all about Jesus. It's all about him. That is to be the filter that everything else comes through. And if something doesn't agree with what the scripture says ought to be as a follower of Jesus, then it's wrong and it needs to be changed and addressed. But my identity is found in him, not in anything else.
Absolutely. We do want to close out this episode with sharing some practical ways to keep trust and communication open in your house. If you want to be able to walk your child all the way through this journey, then you need trust. You need your child to trust you.
Yes.
You need to have communication. What good can you do in your child's life if they won't talk to you and they won't listen to you? So these are really important. The first thing we want to encourage you is to make sure that your child feels safe telling you hard things. And this is so important, and the only way to do this is by responding correctly when they do. Kids keep communicating when they believe a couple of things. When they believe that they will be heard. They're not just going to be shut down, or they're not going to be ignored. They will continue to communicate when they are not immediately just going to be shamed. They'll communicate when they know that the relationship is secure, even during disagreements. And you think about that. Like I said at the beginning of this episode, we can disagree and still be friends. Your child should feel that from you. Your child should not be afraid to disagree with you. And one of the things that you need to be telling your child when they have hard conversations with you is this: thank you. Thank you for being honest with me. Thank you for trusting me with this. It means a lot to me that you came to me with this. Thank you. When was the last time you told your child thank you for sharing something with you? Maybe you want to say something like this: help me understand what you mean. I don't really fully understand, but I want to understand. Help me. Maybe you want to say something like, listen, I may not fully agree, but I want to hear you. I want to hear what you have to say. And when you say these kinds of things in a calm tone, then it's going to keep that communication and connection open. And tone matters. It matters so much. It matters more than having the perfect words. You can have the perfect words, but if they're said in the wrong tone, you're going to shut it down and your kids aren't going to talk to you anymore.
We touched on this earlier, but listen long enough to understand before trying to correct. A lot of parent-child conversations break down because the child feels managed instead of understood. So listen to truly understand them. Ask questions before giving conclusions. Remember, you're trying to gather all the information that you can. You can't get to where you want to go if you don't know where you are right now. So gather that information. Ask questions. Reflect back what you heard.
That's good.
So it's like, okay, let me make sure I'm hearing you right. You said, and then repeat what they said. And then they can be like, yeah, that's what I meant. Or no, that's not what I meant. That's not what I was trying to say. Sometimes them hearing it back helps them to kind of think through what they're actually trying to say. and get their thoughts and their feelings out, because this is an uncomfortable conversation. This is a hard conversation. And so it may be difficult for them to get the words out in the way that they actually mean. Avoid interrupting. Avoid turning every conversation into a lecture.
But I love to lecture.
Yes, you do.
It's kind of my thing. I'm working on it, okay, people? I'm working on it.
And so you're asking questions like, when did you first start feeling this way? Because a lot of it can go back to what we talked about at the beginning. Like, somebody's told them because they like certain things or they feel a certain way, then that means. And that's not necessarily the truth. What has this been like for you emotionally? What are you afraid of? What do you wish I understood it better? And this goes back to what James wrote in 1:19. Let every person be quick to hear, slow to speak, slow to anger. So make sure that you're listening before you're acting and before you're speaking yourself. Absolutely.
And then the last thing we want to leave you with is separate the relationship from agreement, okay? All your children need to know that my parent loves me.
Yeah.
They don't necessarily need to know my parent agrees with everything I believe or everything I do, but they need to know that even if my parent disagrees with me, the relationship is secure. My parents will love me even if I go against them, even if I go against the Bible, even if I don't agree with them. My parents will still love me.
Yeah.
And you can and need to maintain warmth, affection, and presence during these seasons of serious disagreement. So if your child comes to you and says that this is the case for them, this is not the time for you to neglect your child or avoid them or stop showing up to their extracurriculars. I don't go to your games anymore. I don't go to your recitals because I can't even handle it.
Yeah.
This is the time that your child needs your presence more than ever. They need you to be present with them and supporting them and loving them and helping them to see and understand truth. So you've got to be there for them. And if you can normalize family time before the hard conversations, this is going to help you. This is why we end every episode telling you to have a family meeting. We have our family meetings every single morning at 7 a.m. around our living room, drinking some coffee or cappuccino, or in this case this week, the girls were eating chips for breakfast at 7 a.m. But whatever it is, whether it's your family devotions or your family meetings or family time or whatever you want to call it, if you can have this set up where every single day we have some connection and some conversations, then when hard conversations come up and you need to talk about things, it won't feel foreign.
Yeah.
It won't feel new and weird. It'll be something that you've already been doing. This is just what we do. Now we're talking about this. So show interest in their life. Avoid constant debate. If every time your child comes around you, you want to talk about it and you want to argue about it and you want to try that to get them to see your way, see what the Bible says, then they're going to start avoiding you.
Yeah.
And they're not going to want to come, to be around. And that's going to deflate any influence that you would have potentially had on them. So express that love verbally. They need to hear you say the words, I love you. And maybe you're not a demonstrative person and you don't usually say the words, I love you. Well, it's time to start. Today is the day. Go to your children right now. Say that you love them. Send them a text and make sure that that's normal in your family. And even if you have these hard conversations and disagreements, be verbally expressing your love and consistently and with action. Don't make every interaction you have now with this child about the conflict. Have some good times where you bite your tongue and you just have a good time with your child so that the relationship doesn't all become consumed with this one issue, because your child is more than this one issue. Keep that in mind.
A child who feels rejected personally will usually stop listening spiritually or emotionally. Trust is built less through one perfect conversation and more through hundreds of steady, respectful interactions over time.
Your child needs more than panic or pressure.
Yeah.
They need parents who are grounded, loving, wise, self-controlled, and emotionally safe to talk to. Be that parent for them. We want to offer you a bonus resource in case this is something that you really are dealing with. We want to offer you the bonus resource of navigating difficult identity conversations with your child. And all you have to do is email us at info@familymeeting.org, and we will email that over to you.
So family meeting tonight is, guess what? You're going to talk to your kids about gender. So whatever age your kid is, you're going to have appropriate conversations about what gender looks like. Listen, the world is talking about it. Culture is talking about it. All the TV shows, the movies, everywhere, school, their friends, they're all talking about it. It should not be weird for you to talk about it. And so making sure that you are talking about the important things. Now, if you just show up once a week and you start talking to your kid about gender issues, it might be weird. That's why Lysandra emphasized having regular conversations with your kids about a wide variety of things. But this is one of those conversations that you can't ignore. You need to be having conversations with them appropriately, biblically, practically on the level that they're at.
Thanks for joining us today. Please go and subscribe to the Family Meeting Podcast from your favorite podcast provider. And if you found this information helpful, please share this episode on social media and invite your friends and family to listen in with you.
To find more content and information Lysandra and I provide, you can go to our website, familymeeting.org, or email us at info@familymeeting.org. If you'd like to shoot us a text or call us, you can send a voice message at 904-257-3062.
And we want to invite you to join us for our next family meeting as we discuss secret contracts in your marriage relationship. Babe, did you know that we have secret contracts all over this place?
I literally have no idea what you're talking about. Like, what are you, like, explain. Do you guys know what she's talking about? I have no idea what she's talking about.
Everybody else gets it. You're the only one who
I
doesn't
doubt
get it. So secret contracts are where, like, at the beginning of your marriage, I'm gonna do a hypothetical.
Okay.
Hypothetically,
okay.
this is not us. But hypothetically, at the beginning of your marriage, the wife changed the empty toilet paper roll and put a new one on. And
she's using most of it, so that makes sense. Okay.
For the next 25 years, she is expected, without talking about it, to always change the toilet paper roll holder, because that's just her job. And so it's like a secret contract that neither of you even really know you have.
Okay.
But it's built into the relationship and it affects things. So we're going to kind of talk about that in marriage next week.
All right, I'm understanding what you're throwing down now. I got it.
Okay, good.
Thanks for joining us today for this family meeting. Have a great week, everybody. This meeting is adjourned.
Let's not have the conversation stop here. We want to hear from you. What are your experiences with this topic? What have you tried? What went well? What blew up in your face? Let us and other parents learn from you and from your situation, or maybe you have something that you wanted to share that we totally missed in this conversation today. So let us know. Put it in the comments. We'll be watching. We will see you next week.
See you later.